Pete McCabe back with another episode of Scripting Counts. This is a series of videos in which we are trying to apply the theatrical principles of blocking to the subject of false counts and false displays in card magic. The idea, the goal of using blocking is to dramatize to the audience what we want them to remember, to make the effect clearer. And it also has the benefit of creating a situation where we can have our moves happen under reduced scrutiny. So that gives us better cover as well. So two good goals. Today we're going to take a look at the Elmsley count, but a variation of the Elmsley count. This is one of the very first few moves that I have ever put into print. That's not really my specialty. But in Genie, in I think 2004, I published the Face Out Ghost count, which is the Elmsley count put up at face level. Traditional Elmsley count is done with the cards low and the audience is looking down. In the face out version, the cards are held up high and the audience looks across at them. And so that provides two benefits, I think. One of them is that more people can see what you are doing. And the other is that it's easier for your face to be part of the stage picture as the audience sees it. It's a pretty important communicating tool, your face. And so we want as much as possible for the audience to be able to see it. So we get those two goals with the face-up ghost count. To teach it, I'm going to start by teaching you a move called the undercount from Brother John Hammond, and that will introduce the basic technique. Then we will move one step ahead to the 3-as-4 count, which is quite easy, and then the 4-as-4 count has slightly trickier, but still not too difficult. I think if you can do any Elmsley count and you follow along this video with cards in hand, by the time we're done, you will be able to do the move well enough that you can start practicing it and make it look good. And then you can see whether you can use it, which, of course, is always the goal. The move that put me onto the face-out ghost count was the undercount, which is in the Secrets of Brother John Hammond. It looks like this. I will show you the queens. I have Queen of Clubs, I have the Queen of Hearts, I have the Queen of Spades, and the Queen of Diamonds. And I will count them off to you, but then I might hand them to a spectator, but there's only 3. One of them has been returned to the deck. So this is fairly straightforward. Let's get them back in order so we can simulate everything. Oops, here we go. So from the front, it looks like this. The first card is displayed. The second card is taken. Each card is taken underneath the group for display. And then as the fourth card is taken, the first card is placed back onto the top of the deck. In the exposed view, we can see a couple of details. The first card is taken, the second one is taken, the third one is taken, but they're not really held very precisely aligned, and this makes it easier for my thumb to slide the first card back so that as I come up with the fourth card, the first card is stolen back onto the pack. There are a couple of things to pay attention to. The first is that when you do the final take, and this exchange, you don't want to lift up because there will be a pronounced snapping sound, which is not desirable. You want the movement to be in this parallel to the plane of the cards. So 1, 2, and here's 3, and then this card moves straight up. So that will tend to reduce the noise. I think the most important thing of all of it is just casual. And then the question is, what are you going to be saying while you're doing it? Again, I think the advice not to count the cards unless the number of cards is important. Don't count them. But you can introduce talking about the different ones, the Queen of Clubs, which is in charge of this, and Queen of Spades, and the Diamond, and the Heart. And the card is stolen back onto the deck. That is the undercount, Brother John Hammond. I think if you find that, you'll find that quite easy to master. The same blocking principles that we've been studying apply to the undercount. If anything, they're even easier. Your offstage area is here and the display area is up here. It makes it much easier to have these be thought of as separate places. They're physically separated, but also the cards are, in this case, they're face on, directly to you. In this case, we have as much as possible the edges of the deck pointing towards the spectator's eyes, as my friend Yehuda pointed out. Thank you, Yehuda. And this tends to make them psychologically not something to pay attention to. This is the area that matters. In addition, there are going to be a couple of cases. You generally don't want these cards held low because when you do, for example, on take 3, when you're taking the back, you don't want it like this. That almost exposes the move. So when you're doing the third take, you want to have the cards be a little bit up. You can see that this angle is making it impossible for you to see the top of the deck. That is useful. From the undercount, we move to the 3-as-4 Elmsley count. So I've got the 3 queens. The odd color one is going to be on top. And it's going to basically be the undercount. But instead of counting 4 cards and stealing one back on the 4th card, we're going to count 3 cards, steal one back on the 3rd card, and then we're going to count that one again as the 4th card. So black, red, red, and black. And that's the thing. I've only got the 3 queens. So again, the 1st card is taken, the 2nd card is taken. As we come over to take the 3rd card, the 1st card is left behind, and then it is counted. By the way, I always do this. I do not seem to be able to stop myself from making this sort of gesture of fairness every time I do the 4th card. I don't know why I do it. You don't have to do it. But when you see me doing it over and over again, that's what that means. Again, in the exposed view, we will start with the queens. The odd colored queen is on top. The 1st card is taken and displayed. The 2nd card is taken and displayed. The 3rd one is taken and displayed while the 1st one is stolen back. And now the 1st one is counted again as the 4th card. The 4s4 version of the Elmsley count adds something that's a little trickier to do if you want it to look really good. So let me show you the basic version, and then I'll show you the sort of full-on version, and you can see if the difference is worth it to you. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use 3 aces and the Queen of Hearts, which I'm going to display as 4 aces, hiding the queen. So here's the simplified version of the move. I can show I've got the 4 aces, and I'm going to use the 4 aces in this trick. That's the simplified version. It looks, I think, a lot like the 3s4. I take the 1st card and display it. Again, I'm holding these low so you can see it. This is an exposed view. Then I take the 2nd card so you can see it. Now, these cards are going to be shoved as one under the group. I'm going to draw back the top card while this hand comes up with 3 and shows the ace, and the 4th card is shown. The reason this is the sort of not so nice version of the trick is that on this take, I should really be pushing off. I pushed off the first 2. I should push off on this one as well. But to do that, now when I come over, I have to square these up roughly in order to not, you can see that the queen here is exposed a little bit. Don't want that. So that is what makes this move a little bit trickier if you want it to look good. If you want to have the full push off and naturalness, you need to get a little bit of practice so that when these cards come up, that index of the queen is not visible. And you want to also be able to do that while maintaining the casual attitude that I think is at the heart of this move. That one worked pretty well. So that's what's going to take a little bit of practice if you want to make it look as good as possible. Remember that you don't want to hold these cards too low, but you also don't want to tip them up. You don't want the face to be exposed. So that, again, you want the edge of the cards facing right at the edge of the audience. In the exposed view, you can see what you have to work on. The 1st card is taken and displayed. The 2nd card is taken and displayed. As the 3rd card is pushed over, you're going to come together to take it. The top card is pushed back into the left hand, but all of the other 3 cards are sort of loosely squared so that the card that you're hiding doesn't get exposed. And then the 1st card is taken again as the 4th card. Let me show you what is actually happening with this exposed view. I've outjogged the cards so you can see where each card goes. You would not do it this way. But the 1st card is taken and displayed. The 2nd card is taken and displayed. As the 3rd card is pushed over, the cards are roughly squared, and the bottom 3 are all taken as a group. And then the 1st card is taken as the 4th card. In a sense, that just moving the Elmsley count from down at waist level up to face level, that's already a form of blocking. The movement of the actors on stage, where are they? If they're down at a spot that's low, it's not as visible as up front. If you put an important scene in your play off in the corner of the stage, it's not going to be as visible as if you put it right down front and center. Of course, the basic principles of blocking we've been discussing also apply to the face-out version of the Elmsley count. We have an off-stage area where the cards are held as much as possible with the edges towards the spectator. We have a display area, which is up near our face and full face of the card towards the audience. So in this version of the count, these blocking principles work even more effectively, I think, to control the audience's attention and to get them to focus on what is the most important thing that you want them to remember from the procedure, and also hiding the actions, the secret actions, in the off-stage area where they are not as much attention paid to them. So that is it. I hope that you are able to follow along. I think if you practice this move pretty directly, if you can do an Elmsley, you'll be able to do this count quite easily in no time at all. And I hope you'll be able to find some places where you can use it to achieve the benefits that we want. This kind of blocking makes it easier for people to see the trick, and it makes them easier for people to see your face. And I think both of those things are pretty good when you're working on magic trick. So that is today's installment of Scripting Counts. I hope, as always, that you're able to find it useful.